All right, so the next guideline is to if you must use a semicolon, use it well. And basically what I want you to remember with semicolons is it could only be used to join two independent clauses. If it's not an independent clause, you cannot use a semicolon. Um, but yeah, this is the rule that was stated in the cheat sheet, but let's actually go into what these rules actually mean. So four semicolon breakdowns. So the first is to use a semicolon to join independent clauses without a coordinating conjunction or a fanboy. So for example, if we look at this sentence, Sam received exceptional ratings. Sadly, Linda did not. You see that weird comma right there? We don't really need that. We can actually substitute that with a semicolon because this is a complete sentence. Sam received exceptional ratings. Sadly, Linda did not. That's totally fine because we're adding on that Linda actually did not receive an exceptional rating as well. That's kind of like the completeness factor. So we're kind of changing the the rules a bit, but that totally works because the implied completion would be exceptional ratings, right? All right, so that's the first rule. The second is to use a semicolon between independent clauses joined by conjunctive adverb. So this is where like the however, therefore, furthermore, nevertheless, those are conjunctive adverbs. And a good example would be, I like the Dole Whip, totally independent clause. However, comma, which think of a semicolon kind of tagging on to the last thought that you portrayed before. However, comma, I do not like churros. Totally complete sentence, totally okay to use a semicolon here. Number three, use a semicolon after an independent clause that comes before IE or EG. So it has to be an independent clause. If it's not, then we cannot use it. So if it's like the kinds of animals, semicolon, not correct. That is not correct. You would have to say, I love all kinds of animals, semicolon. Example, at the zoo, I like to see lions, tigers, and bears. Totally acceptable sentence right here. And then the last is the semicolon to separate items in the series that contains internal commas. So the only example that I can think of is like when there's cities and then the state, like Seattle, comma, Washington, comma, Salt Lake City, comma, Utah, comma. Like it would just be too many commas. So to separate the city and the state, you would just put a semicolon in between there, and that's totally acceptable. I'm going to go into some example sentences in the test question, but yeah, let's hop to it. So which item uses correct punctuation? A, without the funds for a Disney trip, unfortunately, we can't go this year. B, we received confirmation on our fast passes. Example, or yeah, whatever that IE is. We made the reservations for Splash Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, and Space Mountain. C, Disney locations are located throughout the world, i.e. Tokyo, Japan, Anaheim, California, and Orlando, Florida. And then D, we saved enough funds to go to Disneyland. Therefore, we will go next week. So if we look here, we can see that I think A is wrong because, oh, well, the answer's right here. But let's not look at the answer. So A is wrong because without the funds for a Disney trip is actually a dependent clause. And because it's a dependent clause, we can't use a semicolon. So A is out. Let's see B or C. So B, I already know that it's going to be a comma splice because Tokyo, Japan, Anaheim, California, it should actually be separated by a semicolon because that looks better. And it's not confused that, okay, where's the country and city boundary? So I would just replace that with a semicolon there. And then the last is, so C is definitely out. So it's between B or D. So B is actually wrong because if they just change the comma after fast passes to a semicolon, it would be correct because that is a complete sentence or an independent clause right here. Let's look at D. So we saved enough funds to go to Disneyland, semicolon, therefore we will go next week. Yeah, those are two independent clauses and it has that conjuncting adverb that we love so much. And yeah, so I believe the answer is D, which, oh, look at me. We got it correct. All right. Semicolons can be also really tricky, but if you just remember that semicolons are only used for um, independent clauses, then you're going to do great on the test and also in grammar.